All right, so today we're going to talk about snapshot versus fine art photography and the differences between those two. Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to bring you to this note-taking sheet. This is located in Google Classroom under week 2. And so real quick, this is the notes that you are going to use. You can either print them out and handwrite them if you'd rather, or type them. And if you are somebody that needs to work at a faster or slower pace, you can work alongside with me by following my video here where you can pause and play, or you can listen to the live instruction that we're going to do in just a moment. So again, if you want to have the link to the video presentation, it's right here. You're welcome to move ahead if you'd like, or to slow down. And we are going to fill out these notes together. All right, let's get into it. So some key questions that I want you to kind of keep in mind while we're going over this lesson today is what's the difference between a snapshot photo and a fine art photo? How can you tell the difference between these two? And then also, what's the characteristics of a snapshot photograph? What does that look like? And what are the characteristics of a fine art photograph? What does that look like? And how can we compare and contrast the two? So on your screen, you should be able to see a little dot where you can move around. It's a little icon. I want you to move that icon and hover it over the photograph that you think is more of a snapshot photograph. It's okay to be wrong right now. We haven't gone over what this is, but just by viewing these two pictures, I want you to click that little circle icon and move it to wherever you think the photograph is that is a snapshot image. Before I move on, I just want to talk and review a few of you that have selected the photograph that is a snapshot. If you guessed the photograph of these two boys that looks like they're on a school campus, you are correct. This is an example of a snapshot image. And we're going to talk about why it's an example of a snapshot image right now. So what is a snapshot? A snapshot is a visual recording of your daily life. And it normally doesn't have an artistic presence or pretense. They're usually unplanned, they're spontaneous. Normally it's a snapshot is used for like memories. Let's say you go to the beach with your family, or you're going to Disneyland and you're in the line for Disneyland. You're so excited and you're with your friends and you guys take a selfie and like post it to Snapchat. That is a snapshot. Okay, you're capturing a quick moment in time, very spontaneous. You didn't plan it, you didn't pick out an outfit for it, you didn't pick a location for it necessarily, and it's just a quick photo that is doing a documentation of somebody's life. Okay. So snapshot photography actually started with this good old guy right here, this Polaroid camera. So this camera was introduced in 1948, and the reason why it was so popular was because it was so cool to just like take a picture. I took these last night of my husband and my dog, and within like 10 to 15 minutes, I had physical photos that I could hold and look at. So that's where snapshot photography started originally, because back in 1948, it was much harder to get a photograph printed or even get a photograph taken. So now the people back in 1948 were able to take photos of their family and of their events and quickly document those moments. So that is kind of where it all started. So right now, I want you to tell me, what do you think a fine art photo is? Okay, we just talked about what a snapshot photo is. So now I want you to take some time and let me know what you think a a fine art photograph is. And how is it different? How is it different from a snapshot image? What are those characteristics do you think that would include to make it vastly different from a snapshot? Okay, so go ahead and type your answers in. And before I move on, I just want to talk about some of the responses that I got. So some of you guys said that a fine art image belongs in a museum. Some of you said that a fine art image is taken only by a famous photographer. Some of you said that a fine art image is like where a photographer is taking a little bit more time, slowing down, really caring about their background and everything like that. Those are all actually correct, but more so the last answer. It can be in a museum to be considered fine art. It can be a famous photographer, but it can also be you. So what is a fine art photograph? A fine art photograph is an artistic interpretation of an event, of an object, of a person, and good photos should speak to you on some sort of emotional level. They should make you feel something. You should look at that photo and be like, wow, that is an incredible image. That is an image that makes me want to see more. It should give your viewer some sort of feeling. And it doesn't have to be a profound message, but it should, like I said, it should make the viewer feel something about that idea or concept that you're trying to show. In these images, everything has a purpose. We're making sure that there's nothing in the background that's distracting. I'm sure in this photo to the right, this outfit was very planned. The pose is planned. We're all wearing the same color. So that is what a fine art photograph is. And then a few more things that make a photo a fine art image is that they're high quality, they have good composition. And again, if you don't know what composition means, it's about how you arrange your images, how you place the objects in your image. That's a good composition. That's what composition means. So taking fine art photos does require skill, some careful thought, of course, and experimentation, because we're going to go take photos after this. And it's not easy, but it's really worth pursuing. So in order to create good photography, you need to have a solid understanding of the technical and aesthetic sides of photography, which is what we're going to learn in this course. So I included this quote because I think it's kind of important to just remind ourselves that every photographer is a snap shooter at heart. Being a snap shooter is not a bad thing. It's just a different type of photography. And then it says, I don't know of a fine art photographer, regardless of their pretentious, who didn't also take snapshots. So I just wanted you guys to think about that for a minute. So, to take photographs rather than snapshots, you're going to need to know a few things. So you want to think before you shoot, okay? Make sure that you're familiar with the location, the outfits, any props that you're using, and then think about the composition. Remember, a couple slides ago, I said what composition means. It's how the objects are placed in the image. So you have full control of that. So be trying to think about that when you're taking your pictures in a minute. And then you're gonna think about the story or main idea. And also take pictures of things that you're truly interested in. Don't take some pictures of something that's boring. It should be something that you're passionate about, something that interests you. And lastly, focus on the photographic process, not just pressing the shutter. Okay, and the shutter's the button on the top of the camera that takes the picture. Here's an example of how I used to see the world in the top photo. This would be an example of snapshot, yes. So this is an example of a snapshot. And then down here, this is how I see the world now. And this would be more of an example of fine art, yes. So now we're gonna go into our assignment. So for your assignment today, we're gonna split out. You're gonna stay in the Zoom call, but I'm gonna have you go and take pictures. You need to take of the same object, okay? We're talking same object or same subject, 2 pictures. One is gonna be a snapshot, and one, you're going to look at that snapshot, and I want you to ask yourself a few questions. I want you to ask yourself, how can I make this better? What is distracting in this image? and what would make it a fine art photograph? Ask yourself those questions. I want you to physically look at that photo that you took and ask yourself those 3 questions. And then from there, I want you to fix whatever you did and take that photo again, but more of a fine art photograph. So comparing just like these 2 that I took here, okay? And I'm also going to do this along with you. I'm going to stay on the Zoom call in case you have questions. I might not get back right away because I'm going to be taking pictures too. And then we'll come back and we're going to edit together and then also post on Padlet so we can critique. Okay, everyone. So after reviewing some of your work and getting some feedback from you guys, I realized that you're just having a little bit of trouble on deciding what photos to choose for your fine art photograph. So let me go through a few things that you can be looking for after you take your snapshot and your fine art photograph to kind of decide which ones work best. So I took more than one picture. I actually took quite a few, but I narrowed them down to my top 4. So I'm going to talk about which ones I chose and which ones worked and which ones didn't. Now this is my snapshot image, so we're going to move past that one. So this is the first picture that I took. And in this picture, we see lots of clutter in the background. We are more focused on her. I took her outside. I have her on a nice background, but I can see all these, I'm a gardener, so there's a lot of gardening equipment back here. It's out of focus back here, so we don't notice it as much, but it's still there. So then I tried again, and this is just a cute picture of her that I liked. But again, it's all this stuff in the background. And this is also the brightest area of the photo. So your eye goes there first, and there's nothing important in this area of the photo. So then I tried getting up on top, and this was great. This worked pretty well. I was able to eliminate all that clutter in the background and just have the dog on the cool background here. But I was a little off, little too far over. So I tried again. And this is my final image that I got. And notice how the background's nice and blurred. She's looking directly at the camera. There's nothing in the background that's distracting. So that's how I chose my fine art image, was I asked myself those questions. So now I want you to go back and ask yourself the same questions with your images. Okay, so here we are on Padlet. The link that I posted in the Zoom call is there. I want to briefly show you the next part of our assignment. After you took your snapshot and your fine art photograph, you're going to go to this Padlet, and I want you to post your Google Slides here with your snapshot photos and your fine art photo. And then once you're done, I want you to comment on at least one other person's work and critique their work on how they improved their snapshot photo. Specifically, what did they do in their fine art photograph to make it better? And also, what could still be improved? Okay, so we want a positive comment and then one comment of critique that can be improved. And I'm also going to go and comment on everybody's slides as well. I'm going to be using Mote, which is a voice recording app that will allow me to create a transcript for you, because I know I have some Spanish speakers in here, and also just for anybody else that wants a recording of my critique, it'll be there for you so you can listen to it and even translate it if that helps you at all as well. So right now I have an example here. This is my post. This is what your post will look like, except it will say your name. And when you want to create a new post, you're going to go down to this little plus sign, and then you're going to click on this link button and post your link for your slides. And it should pop up just like this. Now let's go ahead and go to my slides. So this is what you're going to do when you critique another student's images. You're going to click on their slides and look at their snapshot photo first. So you were instructed to write what you think about this image. Why is it a snapshot image? What do you not like about this image? Again, this was for the artist to complete, but it's good for you to kind of know their process. So read what they wrote, look at their image, and then go to their snapshot photo. So again, these are my examples. I told you I was going to go take the pictures as well. So these are my pictures. In my snapshot photo, I quickly, unplanned, took a photo of my dog. You know, there's a bunch of clutter everywhere. There's a flash that's really harsh. So I mentioned that I didn't like that about the image. I also didn't like all the clutter. It was very spontaneous. I did not set it up at all. And then here's my snapshot image. And so I wrote that the angle is much better here. I shot from above, capturing my dog's eyes really well. She's looking at the camera. I also chose a nice clean background and took away any clutter that would be in the image. So we're just focusing on her. And so that's why I feel that this is a fine art image compared to this snapshot image. So once you're done viewing your partner's work, then you're going to go here and you should be able to comment. I can't comment on my own post, of course, but I can comment on your guys's. And again, I'm going to be using that Mote app where you can hear my voice and translate it if need be. All right, I hope that those instructions were clear. If you need me at all to repeat anything, please email me. Let me know if you're struggling with this assignment or you need extra help. I can walk you through it. I can even, virtually do it with you and demo it if you need that. All right, guys, good luck, and I will talk to you tomorrow.